students, now we begin another chapter of systemic pathology, that is bone and soft tissue. In these chapters, we're going to cover all the important topics in a brief manner. In this chapter of bone and soft tissue, the images are very, very important because in exam, they give you these images and they ask you the diagnosis. So now let's move and start with the first condition. As you all know, bone has the two ends, that is the epiphysis and the diaphysis, and the middle part of the shaft is known as the metaphyseal. Now, according to location, the tumors are divided. That is, in epiphysium, chondrosarcoma, chondroblastoma, clear cell and giant cell tumor occur. Metaphyseal tumors are ABC, that is aneurysmal bone cyst, fibrous dysplasia, osteosarcoma, simple bone cyst and osteochondroma. Then diaphysis, it is multiple myeloma, adamantinoma, Ewing sarcoma and osteoid osteoma. The important ones out of them we are going to discuss. So the first one is osteosarcoma. As the name suggests, osteo means what, students? Osteoid. So if you see radiologically, what are you going to see is, this is the shaft and this is the periosteal reaction, and this is forming what? A Codman triangle. A triangle is formed and that is known as a Codman triangle. Also, what you will see radiologically will be the tumor is appearing like the rays of the sun. So it has a sunburst appearance. All these images you will be studying in the radiology modules also, as well as in pathology also. I'm discussing again the radiology because these are very diagnostic for these tumors. Now we move to the microscopy of osteosarcoma. So as I told you, osteosarcoma, so the hallmark in the microscopy of osteosarcoma is going to be osteoid. And osteoid is what? It is like this. It is pink, thin, glassy material. That is nothing but osteoid. That's the hallmark of osteosarcoma. And osteosarcoma, one more thing that you need to know is that it is a bone forming tumor and it is metaphyseal tumor. As I have told you in the classification, so we have done osteosarcoma. Now we move to the next tumor, that is enchondroma. So the first thing that you need to know is it is a cartilage forming tumor. The mutation present in it is IDH1 and IDH2, that is isocitrate dehydrogenase 1 and 2. And as I've already discussed with you in CNS, that there was a mnemonic called as EGO, E-G-O, that is E for enchondroma, G for glioblastoma, and O for oligodendroglioma. All these three tumors also have IDH1 and IDH2 mutation. Now, if you see radiologically, first of all, it affects the small bones. Like, can you see these finger bones it's affecting? Second thing, what you're going to see is that the tumor is restricted. It is inside only. So it is not breaching the bone. So there is no permeation present. And if you see this black, this is nothing but speckled calcification is present. Now, if you see the microscopy of it, nothing you will find is lobules of benign cartilage. This dark bluish color is of cartilage. Lobules of benign cartilage will be found, and it's a cartilage forming benign tumor. Now we come to the counterpart of enchondroma, that is chondrosarcoma. So it is also a cartilage forming tumor. However, it is malignant. And what are you going to see is, you are going to see on the microscopy the pleomorphic cartilaginous cells. Are you seeing all these cells? They're looking malignant, pleomorphic, different shape and size and angry looking. So that is chondrosarcoma, cartilage forming tumor which is malignant. Microscopically, you will find pleomorphic cartilaginous cells. Now, as I told you in enchondrioma, that permeation is not present. That is why it is benign, because it is not destroying the bone and coming out of it. However, in chondrosarcoma, because it is malignant, permeation is present. Permeation is present, students, in it. So in chondrosarcoma, permeation will be present as it is malignant and it occurs in axial skeletal. Now we come to the next tumor, that is osteochondroma. So it is also known as exostosis, and the mutation present in it is EXT1 and EXT2 gene. Now if you see radiologically, can you see this growth? So this is looking like mushroom shaped growth. And another important feature of it is that a cartilaginous cap is present over the bone. Now we move to the next condition, that is chondroblastoma. It is also known as Codman tumor. Please students, don't be confused. In osteosarcoma that we studied, the first condition, there was radiologically Codman triangle, and Codman tumor is nothing but chondroblastoma, a Codman also known as Codman tumor. And this is also a cartilage forming tumor, and if you see its location, it is epiphyseal. Now if you see the microscopy of it, can you see all these are nothing but giant cells are present? And if you see these cells, can you see this grooving is present? So coffee bean nuclei are seen in it. And if you see this image, can you see this calcification? And this calcification is known as chicken wire calcification. Now till now students, at a lot of places we have studied the coffee bean nuclei and as well as chicken wire appearances. First we will revise tumors with coffee bean shaped nuclei. The mnemonic says, please give me black coffee latte or iced coffee. So P for papillary thyroid carcinoma, G for granulosa cell tumor, B for Brenner tumor, L for Langerhans cell histiocytosis, I for invasive ductal carcinoma of pancreas, and C for chondroblastoma. Then the next thing is the chicken wire appearances in pathology. This is a very, very important flashcard. So the chicken wire blood vessels in FNAC, I just told you in the previous module, that was mucinous carcinoma of breast. Then chicken wire calcification is chondroblastoma. Chicken wire fibrosis is ALD, that is alcoholic liver disease. And chicken wire blood vessels on biopsy, that is on histopathology, not on cytology. On cytology, it will be mucinous carcinoma of breast. On biopsy or histopathology, it will be oligodendroglioma, that is a CNS tumor. Now we move to the next condition, that is the Ewing sarcoma. It is very, very, very important tumor. So it affects adolescents. There is a translocation 11,22. There is EWS FL1 gene fusion. Radiologically, there is periosteal reaction, which resembles like the peels of our onion. Can you see these? These are the peel of onion, and similar ways this. So this is onion peel appearance. It is an example of small round blue cell tumor. Now microscopically you see Homer write pseudo rosettes. Why pseudo rosettes? Because in the center, this pink neutrophil material is present, surrounded by, can you see, like a floral arrangement? All the tumor cells are arranged, and all these tumor cells are nothing but small round blue cell. Now there are other conditions also in path where we've studied Homer write pseudo rosettes. They were what? They were neuroblastoma, medulloblastoma, retinoblastoma, and Ewing sarcoma. Now very important question in it is, in this, the immunohistochemistry marker for Ewing sarcoma is CD99 positive and MYC2 positive. Very important. It is also PAS positive in the stain because it contains glycogen. Now we move to the next condition, that is giant cell tumor. So if you see radiologically, there is a soap bubble appearance. All these pictures, please, these images, keep revising, students, because they will be given in your clinicopath question with this image. And grossly what you will see is hemorrhage is present. And on the microscopy, as the name suggests, it's a giant cell tumor. So the slide will be full of these giant cells. Now we move to the next condition, that is chordoma. Very important condition. So it arises from the notochord. The site is the sacrococcygeal region and the clivus region. On microscopy, the very important thing is, can you see all these cells? These bubbly, foamy cells. Can you see all these bubbly, foamy cells amidst this cartilage? They are known as ficelliferous cells, which is the hallmark of chordoma. And the immunohistochemistry marker for this is brachyury. This image is very important for the forthcoming exam, students. They can give you this image and they can either ask you the diagnosis, or they can mark these cells and ask you which cells are these. These are the ficelliferous cells, which is hallmark or pathognomic of chordoma. So now we move to the next condition, that is fibrous dysplasia. It is very important for the exam point of view. First, you see this image. Can you see this shepherd? So the shepherd with the crook, and what it's doing. Can you see the crook? How does this crook look like? It's look like this, like a tick mark. So similar, like if you see, this way is his crook. So this way only, it is like this, the crook of the shepherd. So radiologically, it is known as shepherd crook deformity. We pathologists imagine things and link it with it so that it becomes easier for us, and similar way radiology also goes. And now if here you see, this is like a ground glass appearance. Can you see this? So this is another thing that you will see, that is the ground glass appearance on radiology that you see of fibrous dysplasia. Now very important is the microscopy. Now can you see this pattern? This pattern is called as Chinese letter pattern on biopsy. Why? Because Chinese letters are very like this. Opposite, you don't understand. Now the most important thing is, if you see this, so these are the Chinese letter pattern, the way they are arranged. But if you see in these bony trabeculae, the osteoblastic rimming is absent. So osteoblastic rimming is absent. So they are trabeculae that are arranged in Chinese letter pattern, and osteoblastic rimming is absent. which is very, very important for fibrous dysplasia. Now we move to the next condition. The next condition is aneurysmal bone cyst. Radiologically, it will be radiolucent. Now, if you see, they are nothing but they are blood-filled cysts that you can see. Can you see these are the blood-filled cysts? And these blood-filled cysts are nothing but they are lined by these giant cells also. So, they are blood-filled cysts lined by giant cells. Radiologically, it will be radiolucent. With this, we complete the important tumors, their radiological appearances, their microscopic appearances of bone tumors. Now, we move to the next part, that is the soft tissue. Now, in the soft tissue, the first condition that we're going to discuss is leiomyosarcoma. We had already discussed in female genital tract leiomyoma. Now, we're going to discuss leiomyosarcoma. So, leiomyosarcoma, as you all know, is a smooth muscle tumor. Now, you see the microscopy of it. So, you'll find these atypical spindle cells with inside it the nucleus is cigar-shaped nuclei with atypical mitosis, and the IHC for it will be vimentin and SMA. SMA is smooth muscle actin. Whereas in leiomyoma, the benign counterpart of it, what were you finding? You were finding that they all were arranged in a fascicular or a storiform pattern in interlacing fascicles. Remember, students? And they all were spindle-shaped cells only. However, over here, these spindle cells are atypical. So, this is about leiomyosarcoma. Now, the next tumor is rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a skeletal muscle tumor. So, the gross of it is grape-like and it is known as sarcoma botryoides. Can you see all these cytoplasmic stretching? So, they are known as trap cells, also known as tennis racket appearance. Why? Because if you see, the tennis racket is also like this, and all these cells, if you see, can you see like this? They are looking like strap cells where the cytoplasm is stretched out, or like tennis racket appearance. The IHC of it will be vimentin positive, desmin positive, myogenin positive. See, they can give you this image and they can then give you in the history that myogenin is positive, desmin is positive. So, with this, you will be able to diagnose that this is rhabdomyosarcoma, myogenin positive. And the stain for it, as I told you, it is a skeletal muscle tumor. So, the stain for skeletal muscle tumor is PTAH, that is phosphotungstic acid hematoxylin is the stain. So, this is about rhabdomyosarcoma, students. Now, the next condition is fibrosarcoma, and as you can see, all the fibroblasts are arranged in a herringbone pattern. Now, we move to the next thing that is very, very important, that is gout versus pseudogout. So, in gout, the crystal that is deposited are the uric acid crystals. In pseudogout, the crystals deposited are the calcium pyrophosphate crystals. The shape of the gout crystals is needle shape, whereas pseudogout crystals are rhomboid shape. Birefringence in gout is negative, whereas in pseudogout it is weakly positive. See, can you see this? So, these are the uric acid crystals which all are like needle shaped and the birefringes will be negative in it. Whereas in pseudogout, can you see all these? They are rhomboid shaped and they are weak positive birefringes. This is pseudogout and this is gout. Very, very, very important. They can give you a history of pain in the great toe, and then they can give you this uric acid crystal deposition which are needle shaped. So then you can easily diagnose that it is gout. With this, we complete bone and soft tissue students. Keep revising, keep learning. Happy learning. Thank you.